The hole filled up with water, and so now this part actually kind of sucks worse than doing all of the jackhammer and everything, because I got to clean up all this concrete and everything and hoof it upstairs just by buckets. So I'm gonna get going on that. And that is like the last of the big chunks. And whew, I'll tell you what, it's like being on a chain gang or something. But so that's done. So let me get that bucket out, and then we'll talk about some of the other stuff that is going on here and how we're gonna do the plumbing and all that kind of stuff. So let me get that going. I'll be right back. This like 24-inch tub has to go right down here, and I gotta get it so that this lip right here is either at the same level as the cement or maybe just a little bit below. And I'll tell you why. Plumbing code, and we don't have any code out here where I'm at, so thankfully nobody's gonna be coming and inspecting anything, but I'm gonna follow a basic plumbing code, best practice if you will. So from every drain, the piping needs to drop 1/4 of an inch per foot of drain. So I may have to actually sink this down a little bit below grade in order to be able to get everything to hook up, because I have a union that's got an O-ring in it, and then it's got this flange here that seals against the O-ring. So basically the reason why I'm gonna put that in there, then this will go in the side of the basin. The reason I'm putting this in here is in case there's any trouble with the pump that I've got, or I ever need to take anything out to clean it or whatever, I don't wanna have to cut the pipe off. So that's the reason why I'm using that. But I've got pretty long runs, so the amount of drop that I have is gonna kind of depend on what level this is at. So we'll see what happens, and come along for the ride. I made a cardinal mistake whenever I had the jackhammer here and didn't dig down far enough, and apparently when they had poured the footer, which is like what the block sits on whenever they build the house, they had done a horrible job. It was sloppy, and it was probably this far out into the hole. So I had to rent the jackhammer again. And I didn't want to rent it for a full day because it's about $135 or $40. I just didn't want to spend that much money. So I had to wait until I had enough time to rent it for 4 hours. It's about an hour away from where we live at to go get it. So I had to go get it, come back. Actually only had to use it for about 15 or 20 minutes, turn around and take it all the way back. We had a lot of rain over the past few days. So guess what happened? The hole filled up with water because I dug it out a little bit, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So the hole filled up with water, and so now I am going to have to use a wet dry vac and get all that water out of there so that I can continue to dig the hole. All right, ground under the basement floor, 0, Brian 1. I'll show you what I mean. Oh my gosh, got it dug and got the sump pit put in. So now what we have to figure out is how much of a drop we're gonna have from, this is the farthest run, it's the longest, so I'm gonna let this dictate how much of a drop we have to the sump reservoir over there. So we'll measure this real quick and see how much we got. We are looking like roughly about 16 feet where I want to go to. So as I was saying before, with the drop in the slope of the pipe going back to the sump, you want 1/4 of an inch per foot. So at 16 feet, that's about 4 inches of drop. So I do want to have about 2 inches of concrete over top of the pipe. So I'll add 2 inches to the 4 for the drop that we want to have. And so basically that means we're going to drop a total, will be 6 inches below the cement here in the basement at that end, and then 2 inches underneath at that end down there. I've excavated down pretty, if you can see in there, I don't know if you can or not, but it's about 5 or 6 inches from the surface of the concrete all the way down to the bottom. Here's where the floor drain is going to go. I had to excavate out pretty deep for it because there's an elbow for the drain that goes down there. There's the input in the side, and it actually will line up with this here inside of the sump housing. So that actually is going to work out okay. It wound up being just under 6 inches of a drop, so we should be good on all that. We are making progress, and that is a good thing. So I will see you in a few minutes. All right, so I got everything dry fitted and I'm pretty much ready to glue it up. I will probably make some adjustments once I get the sump basin down into the hole. I measured with the tape measure and I'm just a little bit high on the pipes, which is fine because that'll allow me to even get a little bit more of a slope down to the basin itself. All right, so starting over here, we got the sink for the bar, and then all the way over to here with a T, another T. That is going to go to the floor drain, and I've got a flange there that I have that this actually fits down into, so this will go in there. And then over here to the pump, to the sink for the brewery. And the reason why I did a 45 there is because I'm going to be putting a sink with a drain table in it in the corner there. A suggestion on doing something like this, start here with your glue up. That way as you work your way out, you can adjust any of the connections to be the angle that you want, because when you glue PVC up, you want to do a slight turn when you glue it up. So make sure that you work from your farthest point away from your drains so that as you get to the drains, you can adjust those accordingly. Taking a look, you can kind of see how the floor drain is below the surface there, and that's by intention, because like I said, I wanted to put a taper in there. I will probably raise it up just a little bit because of the fact that it seems like it might be a little bit low. The taper will be kind of steep. I don't want to make it a trip hazard. I do want to make it so that it will drain everything that gets squeegeed over to it, but I don't want to leave it too steep. So just a quick note on how I did that was I took a hole saw right there and drilled a hole in the side, and then I used some JB Weld. It's like a plumber's putty. It's a waterproof putty, and this thing is, I mean, it's solid in there. It won't come out. Whew. If it looks like there's sweat glistening off my forehead, it is. I got everything glued up, got the pit vacuumed out, and hallelujah, the sump basin is in and plumbed to the rest of the drain system. Unbelievable. Now as you can see, I'm gonna stand back here and you can kind of see on the video, I had to dig out quite a bit of the gravel down there, and this thing's got a pretty sharp bend as it goes down, but I'm fine with that. I mean, it's, you know, water runs downhill, so that's a good thing. Time to start backfilling the rest of it. All right, so I've got all of the rock and the dirt and everything out from around the pit for the sump pump and all that stuff. I have to tell you, this project was very, very daunting for a little while there because of the fact that I had injured my Achilles tendon, and then it just sat for a long time, and so I was starting to get a little discouraged. And then I made a bunch of progress, and it's like I'm on a roll now. So I'm gonna dive into it. What I want to do, because there's so much dust involved with the concrete, is I'm going to use some water, a stiff bristle brush, and a squeegee to actually kind of wash a bunch of that dust into the troughs where the pipe was, so that I keep down on the dust, and then number two, wet down the rock and everything so that the concrete doesn't cure quite as fast. So I'll have some time to work it and smooth it out, because I want to try to get it as smooth as possible. I really don't want to have to grind it or sand it or anything like that. I got everything washed down. And the one thing I'm going to do with the floor drain before I put it down in, there's a little rubber bushing that goes into this piece right here. Let me see if I can get that. I actually wrapped it with saran wrap like a couple times so that when I put it down in there, I can level it off and everything. And then when I pour concrete in around it, the saran wrap will hold the concrete away from it. I don't want to get concrete all over the stainless on this. So then whenever the concrete cures, I should be able to just take a razor knife and just cut it off. And then if I have to put a little caulking around it, that's fine. This goes into there, so I'll put that in there. And slide that down in there. And then that just presses into there like that. And then what we'll do is we'll take our level, and I have to put it kind of crossways on here because the way it's the length of it. And that's funny, it's dead on the money the first time. So, and then I'm gonna fill in a little bit around here with some gravel and whatnot, just to get some underneath here and make sure that it holds it in place so that it doesn't move. And then I'm gonna start right here with doing the concrete. So, be back in a minute. Got some bags of concrete and got a wheelbarrow down here too. So it might be a little bit overkill, but it'll just make the concrete mixing a little bit easier. So everything's ready to rock and roll on the floor drain there. So I got some rocks in around it. And so let's get some concrete mixed up, and then I'll use a bucket there to pour the concrete slowly into the hole around this, because I don't want a bunch of concrete piling up on top of the saran wrap there and ripping it. So hopefully all that'll hold up. We'll cross our fingers, and all right, let's do it. Work it into the gap there. Make sure it gets all the way down inside. Really good. Alright, so here's the determination that I've come to. This is hard work for sure. Got the floor drain in, and I got it pretty well finished as far as the finish goes. I need to take the saran wrap off of there, and I think I'm gonna be able to push the actual entire floor drain down just a little bit, because I've got a little bit of a lip there, but nothing. If I want to, I think I can put some silicone around it and still flow in there fine. I'll flip around the camera and show you guys real quick here. Yeah, it's looks pretty good from what I can see, so it looks like it's gonna work real well. Now, the rest of it, I got concrete in all the way around the sump basin over here. And because I don't have a good trowel and I'm not a mason, I am going to get some self-leveling concrete, and I'm going to pour that in. There's a little bit of a ridge around. See if you can see it there. A little bit of a ridge around, and I'm going to let the self-leveling concrete do its job. This is pretty good. There's a couple little spots here and here where I got a little crazy with the saw and the jackhammer.
I'll come around. I think I'll do those, probably do those with some epoxy or something, because I'm going to actually put an epoxy floor in here. So I'll fill all that stuff up with some epoxy before I do the coating, and that should be good. So that being said, I will show you that in the next video coming up. And remember, if you want to learn more about electric brewing, see brewery builds just like this one, and all sorts of other homebrewing related stuff, click the subscribe icon. This has been Brian for Short Circuited Brewers. We'll see you on the next video where I reveal the finished floor and we start framing. See you.